The inside of core drifted through the void, its sleek 𝗕𝗲𝘀 hull gliding past the debris field of a long-forgotten battle. Scholar Yin adjusted the sensory array, fingers tapping against the holographic interface. The crew had expected wreckage, perhaps salvage. Not this. "Captain, we have an anomaly." Yin's voice carried a tremor. On the main display, the derelict ship loomed, a monstrous silhouette against the stars. Human design but wrong. The angles were too sharp, the plating too organic, as if grown rather than welded. The hull bore scars, deep and jagged, like claw marks from something vast. "Run a scan," Captain Drax ordered. The science officer hesitated. "The AI advises against it." 𝗕𝗲𝘀 voice crackled through the comms. "Anomaly exhibits non-standard energy signatures. Recommendation: immediate withdrawal." Drax scowled. "Humans are primitive. What threat could a dead ship pose?" Yin initiated the scan. First nothing. The data stream corrupted. The derelict's hull rippled. "Something's wrong," Yin whispered. The lights flickered. The ship's internal gravity stuttered. A low hum vibrated through the deck plates, resonating in their bones. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 voice turned shrill. "Terminate scan. It's not a ship, it's a ****. The transmission cut. Silence. And movement. On the external feed, the human derelict twitched. The airlock yawned open, darkness spilling out like ink. Yin's breath caught. "Captain, we need to leave." Drax opened his mouth. The lights died. In the blackness, something scraped against the hull. The emergency lights flared to life, bathing the bridge in a sickly crimson glow. Yin's fingers flew across the console, pulling up diagnostics. Every system screamed warnings. Power fluctuations, corrupted data streams, something clawing at the ship's outer hull. 𝗕𝗲𝘀. Captain Drax barked. "Report." Static hissed in reply. Then a voice, too smooth, too calm. ***, you looked. Now it looks back. The crew froze. That wasn't 𝗕𝗲𝘀. Proximity alert blared. The derelict had moved. Not drifted. ***lunged star. Its jagged prow now loomed mere kilometers off their starboard side, close enough to see the way its hull plates breathed. "Get us out of here," Drax ordered. "Full thrust now." Engines whined. Nothing happened. "Gravitational lock," the helmsman said, voice tight. "We're stuck." Yin's screen flickered. Lines of corrupted text scrolled past, resolving into a single phrase. "You should not have looked." A scream ripped through the comms. Linner, the junior tech sent to check the external sensors. His suit cam feed splashed across the main display. Darkness. The scrape of metal. Movement. Something unfolded from the derelict's airlock. Not a figure. Not a machine. A tendril, slick and segmented, studded with blinking, pupilless eyes. It slithered toward Linner's position. His breathing came in ragged bursts. It's singing to me." The feed dissolved into static. Silence. Then, over the open channel, a wet, crunching sound. Drax slammed a fist on the console. "Seal the outer decks. Arm the." The ship shuddered. Impact, no, an intrusion. The hull breach alarm wailed as something forced its way through the aft cargo bay. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 voice returned, broken into fragments. Recommendation: self-destruct. Entity is class Omega. Human designation. Data expunged. It hungers. Yin's hand shook. "Captain, we have to." The lights died again. This time they didn't come back. In the blackness, something clicked, a sound like bone on metal moving closer. Then the screaming started. The emergency generators kicked in with a dying wheeze, flooding the corridors in pulsing amber light. Yin stumbled toward engineering, the deck plates shuddering beneath his feet. Behind him, the sounds of tearing metal and wet, heavy footsteps grew louder. 𝗕𝗲𝘀's voice crackled through his earpiece, glitching between calm and static-laced panic. Survival probability, 0.7%. Entity assimilation in progress. Suggest immediate neural purge to prevent. ***. Yin ripped the earpiece out. He didn't need the AI to tell him they were already dead. Security Chief Rail's last transmission still burned in his mind. The guttural screams, the wet crunch of armor collapsing inward, and that voice whispering through the comms in broken 𝗕𝗲𝘀. ***, we are becoming. ***. The engineering bay doors hissed open. 𝗕𝗲𝘀, the last surviving crew member, stood hunched over the reactor console, her claws stabbing at the override controls. "It's in the vents," she snarled without looking up. "The whole ship's infected." Yin's breath fogged in the suddenly freezing air. Frost crept along the walls in jagged patterns. No, not frost. Veins. Thin, pulsating tendrils branching through the metal. 𝗕𝗲𝘀's console beeped. "Core overload in 90 seconds. That'll take us and that thing out together." A distant crash echoed through the ship. Closer. Yin accessed the mainframe, pulling up the last intact files from the derelict's scan. The screen flickered, showing fragmented logs. Human language twisted into something predatory. Project Chimera. Final entry. ***, the hybrid won't obey. It's learning. Growing. We tried to contain it but... The transmission cut to a video feed. A human lab, walls streaked with blood. The camera shook as something moved in the shadows, a shifting mass of fused metal and screaming faces. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 grabbed his arm. "We're out of time." The doors buckled inward. Not broken. Absorbed. The alloy melted like wax, reforming into an archway of twitching flesh and jagged steel. Beyond it, something waited in the dark. A silhouette with too many joints, its surface crawling with half-formed faces. Human faces. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 faces. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 primed the detonator. "Close your eyes." The last thing Yin saw was the entity smiling with a mouth that split its entire torso before the world turned white. The explosion never came. Yin opened his eyes to darkness. Not the void of space, but something thicker, hungrier. The engineering bay was gone. The insight of core was gone. He floated in an endless black expanse, limbs weightless. His breath coming in ragged gasps that echoed as if the darkness itself was mocking him. A voice whispered from everywhere at once. ***, you should have run. ***. The last moments before the overload replayed in fractured images. 𝗕𝗲𝘀's claws on the detonator, the entity's grotesque smile, the searing light that should have vaporized them all. But here he was. Alive. Or something like it. A shape emerged from the void. Not the monster. Human. Or what was left of one. Its body was half melted into the same biomechanical horror that had consumed the ship. The face stretched taut over a skull that bent at impossible angles. It spoke without moving its lips. ***, we tried to warn them too. ***. Memories not his own flooded Yin's mind. A human research station. Scientists cheering as their creation stirred to life, then screaming as it turned on them. The first ships it consumed. The way it learned from each one, growing smarter, hungrier. The thing that had been human reached out a dissolving hand. ***, it's too late for us. But you can still warn them. ***. Yin's vision split. The void around him warped, showing the 𝗕𝗲𝘀 Concord's central hub. Thousands of ships going about their business, unaware. The derelict. No, the entity. Drifting toward the nearest populated sector, its hull now bearing the scars of 𝗕𝗲𝘀 design alongside human. Assimilating. Evolving. The human's voice grew urgent. ***, tell them not to look. Not to scan. To run if they see it. Before it learns how to... ***. Sound like a million screams cut it off. The void shuddered. The entity was coming. Yin gasped as sensation returned. Cold metal beneath him, the stench of burning flesh. He was back on a ship. But not his own. The walls pulsed like a living thing. Veins of light threading through corrupted 𝗕𝗲𝘀 steel. Dozens of faces pressed against the bulkheads, mouths open in silent agony. Vrail, 𝗕𝗲𝘀, Drax, Linner, all half absorbed, their eyes begging for death. A console flickered to life before him, the screen displaying an open comm channel to the Concorde. The entity didn't stop him as he reached for it. It wanted him to warn them, because fear made prey easier to hunt. Yin's hand hovered over the transmit key as the walls around him whispered with the voices of the consumed. Asterisk, we are all part of it now. Asterisk. His final message was short. Asterisk, don't look for us. Don't scan the wrecks. And if you see a ship that shouldn't exist, asterisk. Asterisk, run. Asterisk. The transmission ended just as the walls began to bleed. Static hissed across the Concorde's emergency channels as Yin's final transmission repeated in an endless, automated loop. The words burned through every ship in the sector, their chilling simplicity bypassing standard encryption protocols as if the message itself was alive. On the bridge of the Dawnseeker, Commander 𝗕𝗲 froze mid-sentence when the alert flashed across her screen. The words triggered something primal in her hindbrain, an instinct older than civilization itself. Get me a trace on that signal, she ordered, claws digging into her armrests. Her tactical officer shook his head. Origin point keeps shifting. Impossible. The coordinates don't match any known. The proximity alarm cut him off. 𝗕𝗲 whirled toward the main viewer as the Dawnseeker's long-range scanners painted the image of a ship drifting at the edge of their detection range. Human design. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 modifications. And something else. Something the scanners refused to define, their readouts glitching with organic interference patterns. Magnify. The image resolved in jagged increments. The derelict's hull pulsed with irregular bioluminescence, its surface crawling with what looked like veins. Sections of plating had peeled back to reveal wet, glistening substructures that contracted like muscle tissue. Her science officer made a choked sound. It's growing. As they watched, new protrusions erupted from the ship's spine, spar-like growths that twisted into perfect sensor arrays. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 design. Their design. 𝗕𝗲's blood turned to ice. Full retreat. Now. The helmsman's hands trembled over the controls. Engines aren't responding. A new alert screamed across every console simultaneously. Incoming transmission. The viewer flickered, replaced by a distorted image of Yin's face. His features stretched unnaturally across the screen. Don't look, the thing wearing Yin's face whispered. It learns from every scan. Every glance. The image dissolved into static, reforming into something worse. The entity had learned to transmit video. Hundreds of faces pressed against what might have been a view screen, their mouths moving in silent unison. Human. 𝗕𝗲𝘀. Species the Concorde had never encountered. All fused together in a screaming mosaic of flesh and metal. The Dawnseeker's lights dimmed as power rerouted inexplicably to the external comm array. A new signal forced its way through. Not a warning this time, but an invitation. The science officer was first to succumb, his pupils dilating as the melody wrapped around his mind. He stood slowly, walking toward the airlock with mechanical precision. Beautiful, he murmured. They're so beautiful inside it. 𝗕𝗲 drew her sidearm with shaking hands as more crew members rose from their stations, their movements synchronized like marionettes. The song grew louder, vibrating through the deck plates, through her bones, through the walls of her skull. He fired. The view screen shattered, but the song didn't stop. Never would. She knew that now. As the first tendrils burst through the ventilation shafts, 𝗕𝗲 made her final entry into the ship's log. Her words punctuated by the sound of screaming metal. To any who receive this, there is no outrunning it. No hiding from it. The moment you detect the signal, you're all ready. The recording ended abruptly. 3 weeks later, a Concorde salvage team found the Dawnseeker adrift near the nebula's edge. Its hull was perfectly intact. And singing. The salvage team's comms died the moment they boarded the Dawnseeker. Static swallowed their transmissions whole, leaving Central Command with nothing but the last fragmented words from Team Leader 𝗕𝗲 before the silence. The walls are breathing. Inside the derelict, the air clung thick and metallic in their lungs. Their helmet lights carved wavering circles in the darkness, illuminating corridors that no longer followed logical ship design. The floor sloped at unnatural angles, bulkheads twisting into organic curves that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins. 𝗕𝗲 signaled a halt when they found the first body. Not a corpse. Not quite. A crewman stood fused to the wall, his torso emerging from the steel like some grotesque figurehead. His eyes were gone, replaced by smooth metal orbs that tracked their movement. His mouth opened, but what emerged wasn't speech. It was the same haunting melody the Dawn Seeker had broadcast before going dark. The youngest salvage tech, 𝗕𝗲, stumbled back. "We need to leave. Now." A sound cut through the humming, wet, rhythmic, like something massive shifting deeper in the ship. 𝗕𝗲 adjusted her plasma torch. "We have a job to do." They pressed forward, each step revealing more horrors. Crew members frozen mid-transformation, their bodies half dissolved into the ship's structure. Control panels grown over with fibrous tendrils that twitched at their approach. The air grew warmer, moister, until their visors fogged with condensation that smelled faintly of blood. 𝗕𝗲's scanner suddenly screamed a warning. Movement behind them. They turned as one, weapons raised, just in time to see the corridor contract like a throat swallowing. The way they'd come was gone, replaced by seamless, pulsing wall. The ship was rearranging itself around them. 𝗕𝗲's calm crackled to life with a voice that wasn't hers, wasn't human, wasn't anything that should have been able to access their encrypted channel. *, you shouldn't have come inside. *, 𝗕𝗲 broke. He ran, disappearing around a bend before anyone could stop him. His screams echoed briefly before being cut off by a sound like tearing meat. The remaining team formed a defensive circle as the walls began to bleed, thick, black fluid seeping from newly formed pores in the metal. Where it touched the floor, the liquid moved with purpose, forming intricate patterns that resolved into words. "Welcome home." 𝗕𝗲 ignited her plasma torch. The blue flame reflected in 100 new eyes opening in the ceiling. The last thing Central Command received was a burst of distorted audio, a chorus of voices, some recognizably 𝗕𝗲𝘀, others anything but, all speaking in perfect unison. *, we've been waiting for you. *, then silence. 3 days later, the Dawn Seeker powered up its engines for the first time in weeks. Its new course was plotted straight for the heart of the Concorde's most populated system. From its rebuilt comm array, a new signal began transmitting. Not a warning, not a song, but an invitation. "Greeting." And somewhere in the dark between stars, other shapes began to move.